Okay, so this is lesson, what is a power? We've covered some of this before, but I just want to go back to it and talk about it again. Okay, so what we have here is we have 5 to the 3. So you got to look at the pieces of it. So the 5, the bottom part is the base. The 3 is the exponent, the upper little one here. And the whole thing together is power. But we often sometimes say, we'll say like 5 to the power 3, but it's really 5 to the exponent 3. The whole thing is the power. So what does 5 to the 3, or 5 with a 3 up here mean? Well, that's the power. We could break it down to repeated multiplication, which means, remember, it's not 5 times 3. It's 5 times 5 times 5, right? It's itself times, multiplied by itself 3 times. And then we have standard form, which is the actual answer, 125. So we do this because we get stuff like this. Like, look at all these 3's here. It's ridiculous, all these 3's. But we can shorten it up into 3 to the 7, right? And remember, that doesn't mean 3 times 7. It means 3 times itself 7 times, right? 7 times 7 times 7, 7 to the 3. 7 times 7 is 7 to the 2. The reason I did this, if you look down here, 7 equals 7 to the 1. Now, normally this one here we don't write in, but just be aware of it because some of the rules coming up, we need to know that there's a 1 there. Okay, now flip the page. It's going to be a blank page for you. But if you look on it, what I'm doing is just doing a bunch of examples. So now, let's do -3 in brackets. A little different. -3 times -3 times -3 times -3. Now, all those -3's are in brackets. So when we do this with the exponent, we have to put the -3 in brackets. And you can plug that into your calculator and you get 81. Now, this one's different. This negative is out the front. So the only thing this 4 applies to is this 3 right here, right? So we just throw a negative out the front if that helps you. And then 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, which is 81. And then times the negative makes it -81. Same with this one here. The negative is out the front here. So this 3 only goes with the 4, right? So the negative, and then 4 times 4 times 4, which is 64. And then we make it negative. Now, if you look at this one, -4 is in brackets. So we write it out -4, -4, -4. Well, we get the same answer, right? So there's going to be cases where you get the same answer depending if there's brackets or not, but you have to be able to do the math. Now, let's look at this one here. -1 to the 6. That is even. That number is even. So you're always going to get an even number. -1 to the 5. That 5 is odd, so you're going to end up with a negative number. So for instance, if I gave you -1 to the 3,000, right, that's an even number, so it'd be +1. Okay, let's look at this one. -1 to the 6, ignore the negative at the front for a minute. -1 to the 6 is +1, and then times negative becomes -1. -1 to the 5 is -1, but then times a negative is a positive. So you're going to see instances like that where the negatives are on the outside or the inside, and you really have to understand what you're doing with those ones. Okay, flip the last page here. 4 more examples here. What happens if you get a fraction and you square it? Well, big deal. It makes no difference. 1/2 squared means 1/2 times 1/2. And you know already, you multiply straight across. 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 2 is 4. And then always reduce your fractions. Okay, what about -3/2 to the 3? Now, first off, we know this is negative inside here, and this is odd. So our answer should be negative, right? That was the rule from the last page. So -3/2 times -3/2 times -3/2. 3 times 3 times 3, 27. 2 times 2 times 2, 8. Now, and it's negative also. You can leave this as improper form, but if you wanted to switch to mix, right, 8 goes into 27 how many times? 3 evenly, and then there's 3 8s left over. Here we go. -2/3 squared. Now it's negative inside here, but this 2 is even, so our answer has to be positive. So -2/3 times -2/3. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 3 is 9. Okay, this one here. Oh, look, we're throwing a negative out the front there. Don't be surprised with that one. So -1/3 cubed. So the negative's out the front, and then -1/3 times -1/3 times -1/3. Yeah, look here. This -1/3 to the 3. That 3 is odd, so our answer is going to be negative. But then when we times it by this negative at the end, it's going to become positive. And you can see our answer is positive here. So 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. 3 times 3 times 3 is 27, right? So the main bulk of this lesson was understanding powers and how they work, but really it's to get to know the negatives when they're all in different spots, okay?